Bitcoin has been absolutely crashing towards the downside recently. We need to be discussing what's going to be happening next because we are breaking down from this rising wedge, and you may be wondering, is this going to confirm our measured move, which is way below this low over here? Are we going to be going into a bear market or not? We've swept the downside liquidity, and I have a lot of different charts and scenarios prepared for you guys, indicating what that next massive move is going to be, because this is textbook and this has happened before. So we need to be covering what's going to be happening for the Bitcoin price. In the video, we're also going to be covering Ethereum liquidation heat map and all the relevant scenarios regarding Ethereum and your altcoins. So with that being said, let's get straight away into this banger. Bow. So looking at the news for the week, we have our Fed officials actually speaking about the economy this week. So we have Waller speaking on Thursday about the economy, and we need to be keeping a close eye on this, since this is going to be indicating whether we're going to be getting a rate cut or not. You know, this can be very, very key in terms of what Jerome Powell is actually thinking. So we need to be keeping our eyes peeled for that. And of course, on Thursday, we have GDP numbers coming out with the jobless claims at the same time. And this is a red folder news indicating it's very, very high impact. And this is going to be definitely determining whether the Fed is going to be considering further rate cuts past the September meeting also, since they account for previous data in the future. So we need to be keeping our eyes peeled on the unemployment claims and the GDP numbers. We need to be seeing the GDP numbers come down and the unemployment claims actually start to go up, to be indicating that the economy is actually weaker and we need some sort of rate cut. Now, looking at the probabilities from our last video, it was actually at 75%. However, at the minute it's at 86.3%. Now, this is more than a 10% increase for the probabilities, and this is very, very telling in my opinion, because if the probability of a rate cut is actually increasing, however the market is dumping, they may be taking the information a bit wrong from what Jerome Powell said at Jackson Hole, and this can be a bullish signal indicating that the market is actually wrong. The market is actually pricing things in a bit wrongly, and this is not the first time we've seen this thing happen. You can see if we look at the seasonality in 2023 and 2024, we had a slight dump during this time, and then we moved towards the upside after. And you may ask, so what does this actually mean? And if we actually look at why we had a dump, this was due to Jerome Powell's Jackson Hole speech. And you can see here that hawkish stance in 2023, a dovish stance in 2024, and another dovish stance this year. And this just shows that his stance doesn't really matter. Typically, we do get a pump during the event, and then we see a massive crash towards the downside, just like we're seeing right now. And then after, once we sleep all the liquidity, as we've done looking at the liquidation heat maps, majority of liquidity actually starts to pile above, and this indicates that we're going to be seeing some sort of retracement. We're going to be seeing a massive move towards the upside soon. So this is one thing to be checking out, and of course we're seeing that reflected in the probabilities of a rate cut actually increasing since yesterday's video. So this is very, very telling in my opinion, and this is the first piece of the puzzle indicating that this dip is potentially a massive trap. Now, looking at Bitcoin in the short term, we're getting some support from the support level, and we're seeing some bullish divergence right now, indicating that we could see some relief, as we're seeing by this candle over here. So we can see further developments towards the upside again, and this can actually start to close the CME gap. So during the weekend, we actually had a massive gap towards the downside, and typically these CME gaps actually tend to get filled. So it is likely that we can start to see Bitcoin's price drift towards 114, towards 117k, where that would actually fully fill the CME gap. So right now, Bitcoin's actually traded in towards this box, just like we talked about in our previous videos. We were looking at Bitcoin actually coming anywhere in towards this region, just like we did in 2025, of course, just on a very, very smaller scale. So if we look at the short-term Bitcoin price action, you can see that Bitcoin is perfectly testing this mid-range level, and it is likely that we're going to be seeing some moves towards the upside, because you can see the wicks. We're seeing a lot of strength, and we're seeing a lot of buying up on the short term. We have that bullish divergence like we've talked about, and it's likely that if we start to move past 114, then it's likely we can see follow through in towards our range highs and potentially into new all-time highs. Now, in the case that we break down, it is likely that we can come towards this next level of support, which is our previous consolidation before the move towards the upside. And this is called a demand level, where typically if you return to the level, you do see sharp bounces towards the upside again. And not only is this a demand level, but this is our previous all-time high in January. That's our inauguration window where we were trading, and this is a massive support level now. So if we trade in towards this level, which is around 108k towards 107k, then I think this will be a massive support for Bitcoin also. So the bias here is that wherever we bottom out, it is likely that eventually we're going to be seeing a move towards the upside, because we've seen this in our previous Jackson Hole events. We've seen this when Powell was speaking. We had a move towards the upside, then we had a dump, and then after we had a dump and the liquidity was swept towards the downside, that's where we saw the massive move towards the upside. And of course, this is actually textbook to the 2024 range, where we hit the 100-day moving average, and you can see how perfectly we're playing this scenario out again. So again, it is likely that we could see some sort of move towards the upside. In addition to this, we've seen lower lows on the Bitcoin price multiple times, and this has always led to higher prices. But like I've said in the previous video, the Bitcoin price is likely to follow that global liquidity towards the upside, just like we've done previously. Since the top over there is predicted, the inauguration top, it predicted a double bottom, and right now it's predicting that Bitcoin is still going to grind towards the upside, and it's actually breaking out, indicating that there is no massive moves towards the downside. I don't think that we're going to be seeing a rising wedge play out for the Bitcoin price. I still think that Bitcoin is going to be following that global liquidity. So in my opinion, in the short term, we've actually seen this play out now. We've seen the Bitcoin price actually follow this Jackson Hole fractal, and it's likely we can see Bitcoin continue to follow this global liquidity. So I'm going to be long in this Bitcoin dip. I think that this is a massive opportunity to be taking some long positions. So something like this in towards new all-time highs and further, I think this is going to be a massive opportunity to be taking a Bitcoin trade. So if you want to be taking a trade for Bitcoin, also make sure to actually check that first link down below for Bit2Next. Bit2Next is a non-KYC exchange that's offering my community up to 20% bonus on your deposit. So I would not be fading this. As you can see, if you deposit $2,000, you can get up to $400 for free to be trading with and be taking some positions. So this is a massive opportunity, and you have until the 19th of September to actually claim your bonus. So make sure to be checking that first link down below for Bit2Next. And if you scroll down, you can see you can register using this link over here. So I would not be fading this, as you have all the relevant details there using this first link. Now looking at Ethereum, we've actually grabbed that downside liquidity also. In that short term, we had a massive dip towards the downside. However, Ethereum is looking like it's starting to bounce now, so it's likely that we continue towards the upside further if Bitcoin is going to move up also. We've previously turned our resistance level into support. You can see that this was a massive level to flip, and Ethereum's perfectly done that. And actually, if you pay attention, Ethereum actually set a new all-time high before this dip. And that just shows the strength in Ethereum right now. Where we are in the market cycle is where Ethereum is putting in new all-time highs. You know, we've actually cleared that previous all-time high in 2021. So if you look closely right there, we've actually cleared this level, and Ethereum's actually put in a new all-time high yesterday. So that's actually looking very good for the Ethereum price and the Ethereum strength, because of course Ethereum is very strong right now, putting new all-time highs. And right now we have a higher low potentially, so I will not be fading this. You can maybe draw some sort of a trend line here, and you can see that Ethereum is actually holding this level quite nicely. So if we see Ethereum actually start to bounce towards the upside with Bitcoin bouncing also, then this is actually going to be indicating that, you know, we're going to continue towards the upside. Furthermore, you can see that Ethereum is actually in a massive bull flag formation. So the target is about $6,000 right there, and that's a massive you know, move from this point. You're still having a lot of gains on the table there. So if you want to be buying up that dip, of course, you already know the best place to be doing it. That will be the first link in the description for Bit2Next. So lastly, looking at your altcoins versus Ethereum, we've been crashing towards the downside, and this is very telling because your altcoins are losing strength towards Ethereum. We can see on the monthly time frame that the MACD is still bullish for Ethereum, and it's showing that the bullish target is likely to play out. We have a lot of strength incoming for Ethereum, which is leading to your altcoins actually bleeding against Ethereum. But of course, we're retesting a previous support level right now, so it's likely that we get a bounce. And when we do get a bounce, it is likely that we're going to be moving from phase 2 in towards phase 3. So in my opinion right now, your path to all season is fully in play. Bitcoin cycle is already completed. Now phase 2, we're in the Ethereum cycle, and I will not be fading your altcoins long term. I still think your altcoins are going to be seeing a massive run towards the upside. So make sure to be loading up, make sure to be getting your accounts ready, so that when the altcoin season actually comes, you're definitely prepared. But yeah, that'll be it for me. Make sure to smash up that like button, and make sure to be following me on X to be staying up to date with all the relevant charts that I have and scenarios. And yeah, I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Have a blessed rest of your day. Peace guys. See ya. Bye-bye.